Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm just testing out my new computer, getting some audio and stuff, and trying to just do some stuff. All right, so here we go. We just want to say good morning to everybody. Just trying to get back into the spirit of trying to do some devotionals or just chatting or blogging. And, it's been hard. It's been 85 days, and I'm trying to get better, and I'm trying to figure things out of my direction or where I need to go spiritually, of where the Lord is going to take me in this next season of my life. I don't know. I'm nervous, and at times you get nervous because it's like when you first learn how to drive, you're a little nervous, but then as you get older, you get more confident in what you're doing, and you're able to navigate and just get through everything, and it's better. And that's where I am spiritually. I'm just praying because there is a big difference. I have to say that a lot of people are like, oh no, that don't matter when y'all come together for prayers, the prayer group. No, there's a big difference when you are praying on your own versus praying in a group. When y'all are, that statement where it says that where two or more gather in the midst, there is power, that he's present, he shows up. And that is so true. It's learning really true. It's great power when we have corporate prayer. A lot of people think that, oh, corporate prayer is just something, oh, y'all just got us coming out to the church house praying, y'all just want to have us in all night shut in. But there is great power in corporate prayer. There's power when everybody comes together and they focus on one thing and they're all praying for that same thing, that situation happen. That's how we have breakthroughs. That's how things change. It's because there's corporate and there's more than one person in the midst. And while we're just still getting on our individual level for prayer at times, I realize there's a difference in that power not being there, and not being able to come together for corporate prayer, not being able to have those morning prayers where I'm like, she's praying for the all the frontline workers. We're praying for the kids in school. We're praying for the bus drivers. We're praying for all the teachers and administrators. It's a power when it's groups of y'all coming together for prayer, and it is not the same. I'm just praying for the situation because, my spirit is not healed yet. I'm in the midst of trying to heal. I want to heal. I desire to heal. But, I just can't feel healed enough to go back in person. It's like to go back in person to church yet. And I'm praying for the direction and the courage to go to any church right now, because this is traumatic for me. I mean, my trauma is real. It is really real. A lot of people think, oh, I'm just over exaggerating. You could go to church. You're the first lady. You're supposed to be going. Your husband's a pastor, and da 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 da. You're supposed to step into the church. But let's be honest. When you're dealing in a traumatic system, that trauma is real. There are people who have lost all their teeth because their experience going to the dentist is so traumatic that they just put it off until it's to the point where they got to yank every tooth out of your mouth. There are some people who have serious illnesses because their trauma of going to a doctor is so real that they put off going to the doctor for essential stuff. They put off getting checkups. They put off this or that because it's just too traumatic for them, at the point that they end up going to the hospital or the ER to get it saved because they didn't go to the regular appointments because it was just trauma. It was real for them. It's just traumatic for me. I get dressed. There's times I've gotten dressed to go to church. I got clothes on and I want to go, and then I just kind of feel like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm trying to get moving. There's times I get anxiety. It gets like panic attack, full-blown anxiety, where you're sitting on the bed sweating and you're looking at your clothes like, I just can't make myself get into them. I just don't feel it in my spirit to get up and go. It's just, it's hard for me right now just to go back to my own church dealing with the situations because it's unresolved. I'm unhealed. I'm unwhole. I'm broken. And, I just don't even think I could really honestly step into that place and feel comfortable once again. And I hate that. I love my husband. I've been supporting him for a long time. I got up there. I was doing church service when he was blind, when he lost his eyesight. I had to drive him around, had to do a whole lot of stuff. I mean, it was crazy. I was driving around and he kept scheduling meetings back to back to back, and I would have to wait till school, and I would have to take my whole night to take him here, take him there, because he didn't have any consideration as to what I was doing during the day. And even though I supported him the best I can, but right now all I can really do is support him in praying and pray for the best and success of his church. And I'm glad that I hear things that are going on. I hear that there's good things going on and things that are happening, and that it's a blessing. And I pray for his success in his ministry, but also I know that that's the extent of support I can give him at this most time until I become whole, until my situation changes, until things get better. I can't do it as much as I want to. And you know, everybody thinks, oh, well, you're not getting any spirit or getting fed. I mean, I thank God right now for virtual, because right now where I'm in a situation wise, virtual is perfect for me. It's been a blessing. There's a couple local pastors I really love. Their Bible studies and their church services is nice throughout the week to, you know, hear my favorite back east pastors. I'm getting spiritual food, and I realize that's the extent of what it is, and I accept it for what it is right now at this point, because it's just tough for me. It don't feel the same, you know. I'm just taking things one day at a time, and I just am so grateful for those virtual services that I can attend. I'm grateful for all the things that I can be at and where I can be and what I can do spiritually, because I am just trying to get back on track. And you know, we're just happy. I'm just happy to hear the success of my husband's ministry. I'm happy to hear the success of the women's ministry. I'm happy for those things, but also I'm human, and at times I'm kind of salty, because you know, I spent years to finally find a place to fit in, and to have what was fit in for my ministry, where I finally was comfortable, was finally in a place where I could serve and feel that I belonged. You know, to have that taken away from me is, it's just tough. It's like the loss of a loved one, like that's something that you connected to and you loved, and you really sacrificed a lot of your time and energy putting in to get it through, and to have it taken away from you, it's just tough. And you know, I do miss the people, but I also know that going back in the present is going to be an awkward experience for me in my spirit, and I do pray that the Lord will touch me and change me, so that things won't be as awkward, you know, because I know that we need spirituality. We need to be connected to spirit, and we need that spirit to run amongst us. And it's amazing when you find that right church home, where you feel that you belong and you connect, you're able to blossom and thrive. And I have a cousin, she serves with such joyfulness and cheerfulness to her church. She is in her element with hospitality. She has found that hospitality service is for her, and she thrives, and she's had joy with it, and she enjoys it so much that she does it in so many, and she does it with good cheer. And let me tell you, being in hospitality ain't easy. Everybody be thinking, I was watching that I was watching the what is his name, not Carlton Banks video about the lady in the kitchen, and they, like, you hear the church service and she in the back telling them, go get some Del Monte, don't bring no generic back, because you know we only eat Del Monte to get stuff. When you're in the back and you have to coordinate all that food and coordinate everything, and a lot of times you still cooking stuff and church service is going on, and you know, you trying to keep the chicken warm and doing all this other stuff. It's a lot. So I know that when you serve in hospitality, if you're a person that you are of good spirit, and hospitality benefits you and you are able to thrive and blossom, it's an awesome thing. So I love seeing that, you know. But when you sometimes are in a place that, you know, you're not blossoming as much as you thought you had, or you started to blossom and somebody plucked you out the ground and disconnected you from the soil and the water and the sun, you know, you feel a little spirit shift. You know, all you know that right now at that moment, that process becomes rough for you. You know, I've been in the church for decades, and I've been since I was a little small child, probably at the age of 2 or 3 is when I started going to church with my mother. And, you know, off and on through my 48 years of life, I've gone to church. And then I did have a period when, after I graduated from high school, I ain't messed with church. I mean, I messed with church, but it was like I went to like those big like Christian center kind of churches. I went to those kind of churches. I've been to other denominations of their services. I've been in a lot of different variations of spirituality and stuff. So I get a sense of the diversity of how other people worship in other ways. Understand how, you know, a lot of people don't always dress up to church. You know, we as from slavery, you know, we had one good outfit that we wore on Sundays on the farm, and that gave us a tradition of wearing our Sunday best, while, you know, people who are not of color, you know, they didn't have that option. That was not a tradition for them. And so a lot of them, they came to church as they were, truly as they were. And there was no problem, because, you know, you weren't seen as weird because you didn't have on pantyhose, or you didn't have on a full dress, you know. So for me, I've been to some of those churches where people have been, you know, in jeans and a t-shirt, and they would worship the spirit, and I was like kind of more comfortable in those environments for me, because I'm like, look, I'm the child that I ain't wearing no pantyhose. Like, I did everything I could to get out of wearing pantyhose. I used to tear them suckers up so much to the point my mama said, if you tear these pantyhose up, she told me she was gonna beat me with a shoe because I just didn't want to dress up. I was like, look, I don't like dressing up. I'm one of those people, like, and that's weird because it's like, as the older I get, the more I want to dress up, because I'm like, okay, when I get older, I do want to be one of these fancy older ladies who have like really nice clothes and really colorful clothes, and they're really cute and expensive and be sharp and clean. But I'm like, I want to do when I get older. Like right now, I'm young. I'm still kind of semi-young. There's stuff on my bucket list I still want to do, like, you know, I want to bungee jump off of something into a river, off a river. I want to skydive, but then also I got to learn how to swim because I don't know how to swim. And I don't want to be in a situation where my bungee jump breaks and, you know, I ain't learned how to swim yet. So, you know, I'm trying to make sure that the precautions are steps that need to be taken before some of the things I do on my bucket list. But there are things on my bucket list I want to do, and I feel like once I accomplish those things, then I can be dignified. I could be an older lady. I could comfortably be older. But right now, you know, the most I'm dealing with is, you know, I'm trying to get on my driveway, and if people don't realize, like, look, I am not no young spring chicken. When you have like 2 or 3 inches of your car in my driveway or more in my driveway, and sometimes if my husband is parked next to me, I don't have the room to maneuver. I don't have the room to get out. And so it's an inconvenience for me, because, you know, I had to fuss at him about it, because I'm like, look, I was trying to go give me some gas and some snacks, and I couldn't go because he was moved to the point where I was gonna hit that guy. And that's one of the things that, you know, come with you becoming of age and beginning older. And, you know, I just learned that, you know, especially in the midst of this pandemic and being at home 24/7 with my husband, it had put a lot of people's marriages got strained, because, you know, it's easy to deal with your spouse when your spouse goes to work, you go to work, y'all had that limited time, and then your time is more quality. But when you 24/7, I wake up, you here. I go to bed, you here. Sometimes the house just don't feel big enough, and emotionally that takes its toll on you, especially when he lost his eyesight and I had to do a lot of the church work, and he's here, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to make sure you get work done. I'm trying to make sure that you have breakfast and lunch, and you know, you're caregiving, and it becomes like a whole nother level of caregiving, especially when we're in the midst of pandemic, and we ran out of toilet paper because you didn't say anything about the toilet paper. I can't find this, and I can't find bleach, and I can't find peanut butter, and I can't find this, and I can't find that in the store, you know, and those things. And you know, I have a stash, but it's not organized enough to really make it useful at points. So you're like frustrated. It was like a big ball of frustrating. I got really frustrated, especially when we had to start blending back virtual and in person. That became a toll on me, because it was tiring. My workload became even more increasing, because, you know, you're doing that travel time. We live 45 minutes from where we worship. 45 minutes to an hour. That's it. 45 minutes is with good traffic. It could be an hour 15 minutes, depending on if 95 is backed up or 15 is backed up. We live quite a way. So every time we go to a church meeting, that 1 hour church meeting becomes 3 hours, because we got to include travel time, and we got to include this, or we got to go there. And so, you know, I had gotten really upset with my husband a lot of times, because a lot of times I know we were going places until the last minute. It doesn't mean that I hate my husband or I dislike my husband. It's just I was frustrated with the situation, and I had got really frustrated to a point where I had really publicly, like, was really mad at him. We had an event to go to. We're just starting to go back to stuff that was in person, and we ended up what happened? Oh, I know I was supposed to introduce him on Wednesday, on the night he was speaking. So I get to the church, and we set up the live stream, because I'm live streaming for the people who are, because I have been hyping it up on the prayer line, and I live streamed it for the people at our church who were there, so that they could get an understanding of what was going on and be able to see what was going on. And I went to the first thing on Sunday night, and he told me, I'm like, is there anything I need to do? I know he was talking about, well, I might need you to help me out with the certificates and the list. And I was kind of like, okay, all right, fine, I'll do it. I'll add it on, stack it on. But then when I got there and I sat down in the seat and had everything set up, they called to about, we like start with the introduction of the MC with Sister Regina McCall. And I'm looking like, wait a minute. I've been in church for a long time. I mean, I don't think I've ever encountered a service where you are introducing the MC. Usually the MC introducing themselves. They usually get up and say, "Hi, I'm so and so. I'm your mistress of ceremonies or master of ceremonies for the evening." I had never really experienced that. And then he didn't tell me that I was on program to introduce him, because normally when I know it's him, I can prepare something in advance, or I keep a little stuff in advance. But then also that was the day that, yeah, we ain't had no Sunday school lesson, so I was trying to find the Sunday school booklet online because I couldn't remember where I put it at, and I was trying to download and read it and get it prepared so that when I got home I could do the Sunday school lesson and go to bed so I could get up early so I could be ready for morning prayer, because that's how we were grinding at that time. And so I got snippy with him. I said, I got up on the microphone, I was like, I don't know. He ain't tell me I was supposed to be up here introducing him, but here he is, and it was like crickets. And the man was like, "All right, First Lady." I was like, that time, now I'm in hindsight I can laugh, but at that time it was like kind of embarrassing, because I know First Ladies are supposed to be dignified. We're supposed to always be dignified, but like, yo, boo, try to be dignified, but also, like, I'm at that age where I'm like, I still have a lot to. I feel like awkward. A lot of people are like, well, you don't like being called ma'am, the children's check. I'm like, boo, I feel ma'am is for women who have had, like, yo, you got like a signature mac and cheese or peach cobbler dish. You're immaculately coutured. You go get your hair roller set every week. You wear pantyhose and the stockings. You're a proper prim lady. That's the kind of people I associate with ma'am. I feel like it's times I'm disconnected with it. I'm like eccentric and eclectic, and I just don't kind of like feel like, okay, the word ma'am is not really applying to me just yet, because I still got other stuff I need to do. Like, I got a couple signature dishes, but I don't got one that's like, I still can't make sweet potato pie yet. There's still some things. I still ain't made a good pound cake yet in my life that I feel like my pound cake is on bomb and on point. There are little things I need to accomplish before I can proudly wear the thing of ma'am. I feel like I'm frauding because you're calling me ma'am at this point, because I just don't feel like there are things in my life I still need to accomplish. But that day I was just really kind of having decorum went out the window, having wisdom, having discretion, having patience. It went out the window, and it's just like everything. I was extra salty. I was just really salty, and I just got salty, and it's like been a situation of a season of saltiness. It's like I want to be able to be dignified. I want to do it, but right now my humanity at times gets in the way. My lack of sleep and my lack of rest, and just trying to catch back up on stuff that I put aside in the pandemic. A lot of people function from home, especially for churches. A lot of churches, when the church shut down, the church came out of your front living room. So many people had to turn their living rooms and their dining rooms into churches. They had to come and try to figure out how to still meet the people's needs, even though we could not physically be together. And especially like here in Nevada, that was an important thing. We were shut down. And we were shut down where it was illegal. Like, if somebody wanted to snitch on you because you had church, they could do that if they wanted to, and they didn't like you. And we thank God that people did not have the sense to be snitching on people, and that people were still able to have their limited gatherings. But it was a tough time for many of us in churches, and many people are just now in 2022, such as in New Birth. And New Birth is a large church. They are finally having a full out pull up Easter service. Like, their last couple Easter services have been virtual, and you pull up in your car out in the parking lot and they have church. So they're just now coming back together. And I can think of, there's probably many churches who have not reopened or still not have fully reopened. There are people who are just dealing with things. And so we know that we're still in the midst of a pandemic. We're still feeling the effects of a pandemic. We are still feeling the effects of everything being shut down. We're still trying to reopen. We know that there are certain casinos that have not opened yet they want to station casinos. I'm gonna name y'all publicly, but in fact, they building a whole new station on Durango and 215, but yet the Fiesta in Texas is closed. They're good stations. Those are good places. I miss the Fiesta $3.99 hot dog and fry and drink special, and then chicken wings at the chicken wing place. I miss being able to just go in there, and when they had the $1 hot dogs during the game, and all the crazy cowboy fans be up there giving you life, because they just be out there. Like, it's just been everything. Those are cultural institutions, especially on the west side, and for them to stay closed and shuttered still, and unknown, but yet they can build a new casino out there. It's kind of crazy what we're going through in the midst of the times. We're dealing with just trying to, people working from home and reassimilating into the workplace. I heard a story about this man. It's like a funny story because this man, he decided they had like a reorientation for HR, and so there was a person who was transgendered, and I'm starting to learn about the whole cis and all of what these people are and all these different terms and acronyms. So this person was transgendered, and they wanted to be referred as they them, and the man was like, okay, well, what? And so the man has some questions, and so the transgender person asked the man, well, what do you want to be referred to? He was like, well, I want to be known as Black Jesus or Black Superstar Jesus. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, Black Superhero Jesus. And he told them that's what they wanted to refer them to. And I was like, oh my God, that was crazy. And it just became like a hot mess of a meeting. So we're dealing with things of re-entry to the workplace. We're dealing with so many situations that are still, in the midst of a pandemic. And now we're hearing that the numbers are going back up again. And you hear this and you hear that, and you wonder like what's going to happen when we have another blossom, and I was scared because I thought myself I might have had COVID, but it turned out to be influenza B. But it was a scary thing. I'm in there, and what was mad is I had to take the COVID test. Like, I took 3 COVID tests and 3 flu tests back to back, and they lost, I don't even know what happened. They lost my COVID test, then they lost my flu test. So I had to take the COVID test again, and it's like all back up in your nose, like they about to hit your brain cells or something. And you're looking at people having to do this every week just to go back to work, or having to do that and do that. So we are dealing in times that just still put trauma on you, they put stress on you, and they had lost. I mean, I was mad, I was kind of salty, but then I was like, I wasn't gonna be salty with them in the hospital, because actually, they had me in the psych ward, and because I wasn't as crazy as the other patients, they were like really cool with me. So they would like leave me alone and not bother me. They would give me pudding and juice, and I got like graham crackers, and I got whatever I wanted. They would be like, oh, we're just gonna leave you alone. They would forget I was even in there, and I thank God that that's probably the first time I've been in the hospital. I actually was able to rest. But I was in that hospital, so I was like, I can't be really salty with these people. They've been really nice to me. I can't be mean and be tripping because I had to take a COVID test 3 times, and I had to take the flu test. But finally, eventually they were like, well, if you have influenza B, we're just gonna give you some Thermoflu and send you home, even though we just pumped you full of antibiotics and fluids. But I thank God that it was. But I was scared. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I was like scared. I didn't get my results back. I wonder if I was gonna have COVID. Was I gonna be in the COVID ward? Was I gonna be able to get out the COVID ward? What was gonna happen to me? So I can understand the trauma that goes on to people who are dealing with COVID, who may be in the hospital for COVID, who are at home quarantining for COVID, who are still dealing with everything in the pandemic. And you're talking about the inter effects of everything. It's a complex effect. It's going to be down beyond maybe 5-10 years. There'll be studies about what happened to your mind during the pandemic, what happened to your spirit, what happened to it, all the trauma. There's just a field right full of research for futures. But I realized that this has been a tough thing on me pandemic wise, and I'm just trying to cope. I'm just trying to deal with this, and then to deal with the trauma of the fact that right now my spirit, I'm trying, I'm praying, I get dressed, I have sweating panic attacks about going back to church. I mean, and it's not that I hate church. I don't want people to think that I'm like, I hate Jesus and I don't love him. No, I love the Lord. I do love the Lord. I thank you for him. I also understand that this phase, I have to find my spirituality in a different way. I cannot get it from physically going to a church. And sometimes I have to, I immerse myself in the worship experience at home. I immerse myself in the worship experience that I have, listening to music or doing whatever. But, it doesn't mean that I don't love the church or that I don't love the people, because I've loved the people. That I've always been enjoying the church. I love it, but it's just right now for me, it's just traumatic. I thought I could be able to go back to church, but I can't do it right now. I'm sorry, just can't do it. I can't. I'm trying. I mean, I've gotten dressed. I've gotten in the car. I have had panic attacks behind the wheel. I've had just nervousness where I just can't bring myself to even go and worship anywhere. And then also I'm traumatic because it's like, what if I go back and I pick a wrong place again? And I go to a place and I start putting in more work again, and it hurts. It hurts because it's just like you put your heart and your soul into things. And because I'm a creative person, I'm like Eric Badu. I be sensitive about my stuff. I ain't gonna say what she said because the word she used, because also there was a pastor who was preaching in the pulpit about God took me through some, and he didn't even make it cute and be like, ish. He said the full word, and he just kept repeating the word. And I'm like, ooh, he ain't no real saint, because like most saints do not cuss in no pulpit. You might say the D word or an A, but you ain't saying that in no pulpit. And then people looking like, what? I know some elders had to come out that church that day. They probably had to get the ambulance and the stretchers, and people was oxygen tanks out and everything, because I just cannot imagine what would you do in a church and your pastor just starts saying the S word like over and over, and he was hooping with the S word, and it was like, oh my God, Jesus, y'all help me on that one. I was not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. And that's like one of the reasons why I don't like to be in the front row, because when stuff like that pop off and you in the front row, you don't have no room to be discreet. You kind of have to be like, I got to get up and go to the bathroom or go to the back of church. This is a good time for a bathroom break because I'm about to crack up about what's going on, because you just see stuff. And you don't want to disrespect the person by laughing at them in their face, because, especially like, it's, people work hard on stuff. People work hard on what they do, and to laugh or it's disrespectful. And so you try to be polite. You keep your little fan up over your face, or fan yourself so you can giggle behind. You just try to be discreet with laughter. But I can imagine in that situation, that had to be a tough thing for people to get through, because you're like, look, he said the S word, and y'all like, ooh, Lord, no. He was serious, and I ain't never seen nothing like that. But anyway, we're going to pray for that church. That's a very interesting new concept, because, I've heard of Thaddeus Matthews, the cursing preacher, and he cussed, but he kind of like soft cuss more than hardcore cussing. He may say like a couple of softer cuss words, but it wasn't nothing like that. But I just feel like Erykah Badu, like I'm sensitive about my stuff. Because, I'm putting my energy and my love in it, because when I'm an artist, you try to be sensitive about what you do artistically. And when people are telling you, oh, this ain't this way, or this should be this, and oh, this terrible, and that's terrible, that hurts your feelings. You take it personal, even though you're not supposed to take it personal, especially when you're exhausted and tired, and you haven't got much rest, and you are functioning on maybe a canned energy drink, or maybe I had to switch to nitro coffee, because at one point coffee was giving me like upset, like ulcers and problems in my stomach, and I could only drink really cold brew or nitro coffee, because that was the only thing that was not upsetting my stomach. And then I discovered Buble. Buble has caffeine, which allowed me to get the caffeine without all the bad things that happen with coffee and energy drinks. And so I had cases of Buble now at that point, but you just function to keep yourself up. And then I just found out mud water. I'm gonna have to try mud water. But you trying stuff to keep yourself up, and you try to keep yourself going, and you can't keep going. You just at a point where you're just faking enough, but then finally the facade falls, the facade drops, and you become like really like on the inside, I'm a little monster, and I'm like, I want to get with y'all. I've been trying to keep the little monster contained, but the little monster is ready to just go at it and be like, because I come from a family of history of like, my granddaddy used to come to the church meeting. He had his hatchet and his pistol. He ain't play with y'all. He was not here for this mess. I come from that line of people, and I thank God that I never had to get like that. But what's in your DNA. But I thank God for the opportunity that we in the midst of a pandemic, we're still there. Until the day they say COVID is over with, we still have to live with the cautions of what it means to be in the midst of a pandemic. What it means that if they say that at any given time, oh, now we got to corral the numbers, that we may have to go back on lockdown. We thank God that we haven't really had to go back to that state, but you have to be prepared to deal with that state. You have to be prepared of what are you going to do if they say that again? What are you going to do if they lock stuff down? You can already see in the stores. The stores are like not what they used to be. It used to be you grab something off there and then you get back a couple rows. Now it's like, okay, especially with the noodles, boy, you just see bare shelf. Especially when they had toilet paper and it was limited to 2 people, it was like bare shelf. You would see people follow the toilet paper man, like at Costco. If they left a pallet of toilet paper out, they could go back and that pallet be gone before the man could even restock it. So we're living in those kind of times, and even our president has said that we can expect further shortages, we can expect further things. And so we do need to keep in prayer, and we need to try to get, in corporate prayer. We need that corporate prayer. We need corporate Bible study, whether it be, I know that we can't come together always like we used to for full night Bible study, but we can still do small groups. We could come together like you and me, or there and there. And that's something that we have to think about in churches today, about the power of small groups. It's not always one big people Bible study, but sometimes you're going to have to be together in small groups. Sometimes you're going to have to maybe do a Zoom Bible study, or a phone Bible study, or phone prayer, whatever. But we have to realize that there is power in corporate prayer. There's power when 2 people are gathered in the midst and y'all are praying together for the same thing to change, and y'all are praying in unison and in harmony for that situation to change, or for the situation to get better, or to have direction on something. It's something that we need. We need corporate prayer, and I pray that the situation gets worked out. I pray that my anxiety will cease. I pray that one day I can actually make it all the way to the doorstep of the church, and that I can actually sit down, and that I can actually put my clothes on and make the whole journey once again as I once used to do. But I realized that I have to be honest with myself. I'm not as ready as I thought. I thought I was ready, but I'm not. And it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to be okay. But I know that in all the time, the Lord will work it out in my heart. The Lord will work it out in my spirit. That the Lord will deliver me from bitterness and anger, and that I won't feel that way anymore, and that I'll be able to count it all joy. So I just want to encourage you today. I know that we think, oh, we got to have a formal thing, but I just want to chat with you for a minute. And I pray that, everyone is doing well, and that everyone is going there, and that, we get through the situation. So I just pray you have a blessed day in Jesus'